I was, I don't know why, but I had a suit. I put on my suit. I was in life in the water in this suit. And I came back up, and the Germans took me up, and they took me down the hall. And I had seen Hitler's children. And I visualized they'd go down the hall and exterminate me or something had happened. But they had me take my clothes off, and then because they were all wet and soaked, and then they gave me a mattress cover to wrap around myself, which that was the only clothes I had because for about 3 days, my clothes that were in the German rooms there weren't rescued. So I wore this. Actually, this mattress cover here is what I wore for 3 days. Is all I had it wrapped around me. It's actually a German. Rather than a mattress cover, they put their bedding inside. And my mother was able to keep it, and about 20 years ago, she gave it to me. She had it at her house all this time. But that's all I had for about 2 days, and they brought some things over, but they never could find. The Germans unloaded a lot of stuff, suitcases off the Zamzam. They had about 6 hours. It was listing over before it sank. And then they put time bombs in and blew it up. And we were up on deck, those that wanted to be, and they could watch it go down. But anyway, we got off. We spent a night on the Raider, and they had all these people. There was about almost about 500 because they had all the Egyptian crew and all of them. So they brought a supply ship in, which was a 18-passenger, at 18 staterooms freighter. So we all got on that, and the women and children, we were about 70 of us, were in the 18 rooms. My mother with 6 kids, and 2 other women went into this, a double bed, but we all slept on the floor. And we were in this supply ship. We call it the prison ship, because the Germans took us from the South Atlantic up through to the North Atlantic, ran across through the British blockade, and ended in occupied France. So we were on the 32 days on this ship. In the last week, we were going through the British blockade. They figured that it probably could be sunk very easily by the British. So we had a little package. We slept on these little things in our clothes. We were ready all the time. But one time a ship saw us. We saw a convoy. But the Germans turned the ship around and acted like they were going to the States. So they got out of that. We were treated very well on the ship by the Germans. A lot of the crew that were young, 2 or 3 of them were only like 20, 21 years old. They'd been away from Germany for a year and a half, and they had little kids at home. So they were treated. Every once in a while, we had food it was kind of like a gop for a month, and black kind of bread, and then this other stew-like. And they gave us orange. The kids would give us an orange. We were about 21 kids, I think it was, and we divided up. And I remember how even the orange peelings were so good, and that was really a special treat if you were able to get one of the orange peelings. We were off the ship the 20th of May. The Zamzam was sunk on the 17th of April. We'd left New York about March 19th, I think, so it was almost 2 months. But we went for almost 1 whole month. Well, it was a month and then a week on the Zamzam without seeing any land. And originally, the Germans said they could maybe land us someplace in Africa, but then things were changed. When we went to occupied France, this was May of 41. U.S. wasn't at war yet. So all the Americans were released. We spent about 2 weeks in France, and then we went to Spain and Portugal and came back on 2 or 3 ships, brought us back. And the rest there were quite a few Canadians, there were some British, there were a couple of Belgians, a Greek nurse, were all on that ship, and they were all kept in prison camps to the end of the war. Yeah, I didn't really talk about the Zamzam at all. until about 20 years ago when I retired in '60 from Fairview.